Gonna switch up the cadence on you today. Pretty much every video that I've made so far, all 11 of them, I believe, have been spewing my thoughts, something to do with adventure maxing, this and that. This is not going to be completely opposed to that, but this is day 12 in a row of me making a longer form, a longish form YouTube video with my iPhone and one of these little camera holders, and then posting them. And I'm frankly don't have that many views in any of these. That's all right. I probably do a little too much ums and ahs. They're very unpolished, these videos. It's really just thinking from the dome. Philosophy is about life from late 20s man who has had his ups and downs in everything going on, lots of good aspects, but also some things that I wish had gone a little bit differently. But one truism that I've found throughout my 28 years on Earth, a little bit more than that now, is consistency. Being consistent will beat almost anything else that you can do over a long stretch of time. So I heard, and I don't know if this is true, but I heard that the first 20 YouTube videos usually are kind of just like throwaway, in the sense that you're not as good as you're going to be, and pretty much nobody with less than 20 videos has a meaningful amount of subscribers, unless you have somewhat of experience with it in the past. So let's say you've worked on someone else's YouTube channel for years, and then you decide to start your own. Maybe that rule doesn't apply to you, but if you're like me and you've basically done almost nothing in the YouTube realm, and you don't know what you're doing, no matter how much thumbnail learning or how much whatever I try to do, volume and intentional learning is the way that's going to improve it the fastest. So I've decided, let me just sprint to 20 videos as quickly as I can. After that, maybe I'll slow it down to, videos every couple days or whatever. But if you look at most any major channel with hundreds of thousands of subscribers, provide, the best video watching experience, those guys, many of them have posted hundreds, if not thousands of videos. They've been on YouTube for years and years. And that's a moat that you just need to collapse as quickly as possible by volume. And obviously getting better at editing, which I don't like doing, so I haven't done a lot of it. There's also the question of titles and thumbnails. I feel like that's something that you just have to learn over time. Maybe you do, I don't know. There might be some magic trick to it, but I'm not worried about any of that. What I'm worried about is getting to 20 videos. I've been going to the gym now for 10 years. I'm enjoying a nice smoothie. Has a little, caffeine in it, which I like. I'm a big caffeine guy, but it also has, different flavors: almond, hazelnut, banana, in this little smoothie. So this is a very pleasant way to be enjoying my Sunday right now. As I said, I've been going to the gym for 10 years, and I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm not super jacked. I've even been in better shape in the past, but over the course of the last 10 years, I've probably exercised at least 2 or 3 times a week in a serious fashion, whether that be at a gym, whether that be going for a jog, whether that be doing calisthenics in the yard when I don't have a gym accessible to me, like when I'm on vacation or whatever. I've always made it a point to get that exercise in, move the body, and as a result, I'm in good shape. Now, obviously I'm young, but I am at an age where you see people start to get out of shape, and luckily that has not been me so far. I've been in good shape, I'm strong. I still feel physically as good as I ever have, and they say that over time that just compounds. An object in motion stays in motion. I've always worked in sales, and I've always made it a point of emphasis to just be the guy who makes the most calls in a day. And if I can be the guy who makes the most calls in a day, then I can probably talk to the most people, then I can probably close the most deals. And some places that's been more true than others. There's different nuances to the sale, and obviously there's a tremendous amount of improvement that needs to be done conversationally in the process, right? Like understanding where the prospect is coming from, speaking with confidence A lot of times in sales, you will seed objections in the prospect because you don't believe something about your product. So I'm not saying I've always been the #1 sales rep, but I've always been in and around the #1 sales rep, just because I make the most calls, and so I get the most repetitions, and so usually that means I can get a steady, pipeline of deals flowing and be able to support myself financially. On the other hand, I've made some mistakes in my life. I have a tendency to chase shiny objects. I wouldn't say this was a mistake, but I grew a social media account, an Instagram account, to 120,000 followers. Failed to monetize it effectively. There's a lot of things I would have done differently, including putting my face on the page more, because it was pretty much a faceless page. And in my opinion, everyone wants to make money without putting their face in front of the camera, blah blah blah. Dude, no one's gonna trust you nowadays, especially in the age of AI. No one's gonna trust you unless you're putting something real on the camera. And so then it's very hard to make money. And what I was doing, by the way, with this Instagram page was I was cleaning up litter every day. So I'd have videos of me cleaning up litter, and then interspersed, I would be reviewing nature videos, using the remix feature on Instagram. So if you're a creator, you can basically allow your videos to be remixed. So I would do voiceovers. I would rate these videos out of 5 stars. And I eventually got banned on Instagram after a number of years, I guess, because some people copyrighted it. Now, I don't really understand that. Every video I made was within Instagram's terms of service guidelines because I did it all natively within the Instagram app. But I basically quit a good job and wasted a number of years to focus on this page and then have the page taken down, which sucked. That was, I mean, it is what it is, but it's come on, man. I pour all that time and effort into something and boom, it's gone. And all you have is the experience, right? But the one thing that worked there as far as growing it, and the thing that's worked for me at work, and the thing that's always worked for me, and I think has always worked for most people, is if you can be the person who's most consistent, if you can be the guy who actually does show up every single day, then you can be a person who achieves at least average results, who is at least at the baseline. If you dedicate yourself fully to the process, showing up and improving, you can have a sustainable level of success over time that increases no matter what you're doing. And every time I've interrupted that compounding effect to chase something shiny, boom, that's where the major setbacks have occurred. So, with that in mind, this is my 12th day in a row posting a YouTube video. I'm gonna go to at least 20 in a row, and then we'll see what the schedule allows for. I'm a working man. It may not always make sense for me to sit out here every single day and record another video, especially when there's all these other things I want to do in my life, like Adventure Max, have these novel experiences and really live a full life. I have a beautiful lady, and hopefully we'll have a family right at some point in the future. So I'm sure that over time it's going to be unfeasible to post a video every single day. And then, I still, with the Instagram page that I had, and obviously we're attempting to build a YouTube channel now. One day it'd be nice to have a business of my own, something where I can help people in a repeatable and sustainable way and be of true service to them. So, maybe it's not going to make sense always for me to post a YouTube video every day. But again, what's the fastest way to learn something? What's the fastest way to get great at something? Geez, the fastest way is to just do it, to just show up. I was driving back from getting this nice smoothie. It's a local place called Celis, and they have a lot of great smoothies and juices, but they're very I couldn't say that I'd ever love to buy breakfast there, because you can get a flat egg on some overly healthy semi bread and a single slice of turkey. It's that's not appetizing. I want a juicy full breakfast sandwich. But I was driving back from Celis, and I was thinking I posted videos 11 days in a row. yesterday I got 1 view on this channel, and I'm pretty sure it was myself because I watch the videos back once I post them to, just for like quality control. Like if now that I see it on YouTube, does anything, look different or whatever. And I'm like, should I even, it's Sunday, is it important that I post this video, whatever? It's like, the answer is fucking yes. Do you really expect, can you honestly expect in any domain of your life that you would have life-changing results after 11 days? Like, that's the silliest thing you've ever heard of. Usually, in most areas, you don't see compounding results for at least a month or so. And those results may not even be necessarily meaningful for months beyond that. If I was posting a video every single day for a full year, and it was a full like feature length, a full 15, 20 minute, even 10-minute long YouTube video, if I did that 365 times and I had like 10 subscribers, the only logical conclusion at that point would be, wow, this is just boring to listen to for whatever reason for the audience. And at that point, it would maybe make sense to change paths or see what's up with it, right? To investigate further as like, why is this page not growing? But to have the thought of giving up after 11 days, it's a silly and nonsensical thought, is what it is. Even not to give up, but that's how the voice on the shoulder tricks you, is, well, you don't need to do it today. Well, guess what? I'm suddenly not going to need to do it tomorrow because, well, actually, I got 0 views today if I didn't post today because I didn't watch my own video. So that little thought of doubt, I don't need to go to the gym today. I don't need to put in full effort on my job today. Oh, I don't need to give the fullest attention to my relationships today. Like, yeah, we're humans and we're weak, and I'm sure we don't do our best at everything every day. It's fine. But to allow that thought into your brain is to sow the seed of doubt that is ruinous, to learn to love the consistency, to learn to love even the boring and repetitive aspects, because you just feel like fourth quarter Tom Brady and you're in the game situation and it's like, no, this is what we do to win the game. That's where the winners seem to be separated. And I've not done enough in my life where I can quantify myself necessarily 100% fully as a winner, but I would love to get there one day. And if you study all these great people in any domain of life, these great people have fallen in love with the process and the consistency of it. And so on the surface, that may seem actually a little counterproductive to adventure maxing, which I've talked a lot about, because you'd think like, oh, I'm an adventurer, so I go on different, quests and journeys and try new things and blah, 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 blah. Listen, that's what you want to do with your life. That's really cool that you can live such a diverse life. The people who I have the most respect for, I was watching a YouTube documentary last night about some guy who basically bought a boat and then sailed up to Norway, and he spent this whole winter like skiing and documenting it, and then he was working a remote laptop job on his boat in the frozen Arctic. And so he spent like years doing this, and it's like, well, that's obviously a life of adventure, but that's also a life that you really dedicate to the process. Because if you're gonna live on a sailboat in the Arctic and you're gonna ski these like backwoods mountains just by yourself, and that's the life you're gonna live, you better be damn good at maintaining that boat. You better be a damn good skier. Otherwise, you're gonna die out there, honestly. But in that guy's case, like, you are gonna get cooked if you don't relentlessly dedicate yourself to the process of maintaining your boat, learning how to deal with the ups and downs and the harsh Arctic weather on the water. That's crazy and insane. And so in a lot of these cases, it's not the guy who shirks his responsibilities to go on these little adventures and whatever who actually wins the day. The person who's able to live the most out of their life is the person who has such a relentless dedication to the process that it yields such enormous dividends that it allows them the opportunity to do all of these different things. Now, I'm not saying that you can't take a moment each day to just enjoy. You should. You should have, before you step into the office, a moment where you just look at the sun and say, wow, it's a beautiful day and I'm lucky to be here. Those are these little micro adventures, these micro moments that are written about in books. The character thought this or whatever. They seem inconsequential in the day-to-day, but those are the moments where you're actually able to add a tremendous amount of juice and life to your day. But then when it's time to get to work, man, it's time to get to work. And he who can be the most consistent and who can dedicate himself to improvement at the highest level and can do that, those are the people who seem to really win, who options seem to really open up for if they've been doing it for a long enough time, and the people who see the best, ultimately results, who are able to not only achieve the most for themselves, but who are able to carry that level of competence and discipline and process into other areas of their life, and hopefully have a really wonderful family with great relationships to them, and develop a circle of people and be able to spread positivity and good energy into the world. So this is day 12. If you're watching this video, I encourage you, I'd love you to check out the other 11, right? They're probably trash and garbage. And I hope, that you come back in the future to watch more, because for me, I think it's an important thing going forwards nowadays to invest in having a personal brand, especially as, traditional jobs become perhaps destabilized by AI and all these other factors, and we don't know where the world's going. I think it's going to be very important to have your face out there and to be someone who can reach a large audience, and it opens up a tremendous amount of doors for you as far as that's concerned, right? It allows you to help more people, because having always worked in sales, I can only make, if I have a day where I'm just making calls as much as possible, I can call 300 people, and I can post this video, and it can do like, I gotta sneeze. I can post this video and it can do like 1,000 views, and people be like, that's not even that much. But this one video, 20 minutes of my time, can equate to me having the most cracked out day of my sales existence if I'm literally hammering the phones for 8 hours or 9 hours, literally hammering them, versus I just talk to a screen for 20 minutes. And that's crazy, right? The amount of people you can reach. Hell, if it was a shorter video, I could reach more people, but my message would have to be more concise and it wouldn't have as much nuance. And so that's, pros and cons, add and subtract. But anyways, this is day 12. I kind of even forget where I was at the beginning of that point, but this is day 12 of me posting consistently, because I believe it's important to have a personal brand and put yourself out there, and dedicated myself to the process of, let's get great at talking to the camera. Let's get great at articulating thoughts in the most concise way possible. Let's spread a positive message that people need, because a lot of people, I think, do get kind of trapped behind screens and trapped in their own heads nowadays. And it's fruitless to do that. You need to get out there. The world is where cool things happen, where all those things that you want happen doesn't happen behind a screen, it happens out there. Even if you're like a coder or a computer programmer, you got to meet people, whatever. So if this is a great vehicle for me to do that, this is something that it is worth my time to invest heavily in and be the best that I can possibly be at it, and go through the ups and downs and say whatever. No one watches these videos, but it's completely fine, because dedicating yourself to improvement, to process, to all these things, that's how you can live the life of the most adventure maxer. Go right after you're done watching this, and after you've subscribed, go to the YouTube channel of this guy, Lit Nomad, who's one of the inspirations for this page, because his videos are cool. He talks about how he used to be a quant trader, and he's just posting similar videos to this, where he'd just be in the mountains somewhere or wherever he's at, just talking about some economic theorem or you know, some of the videos more serious, some of them are a little more silly in concept, but guy dedicated himself to the process of his job, quant trading, for a number of years, probably 15 or 20, and then quit. Now he travels the world, and so he is able to adventure max his life in a way that is only achievable by someone who has spent, or is most readily achievable by someone who has spent so long dedicating themselves to the process of something that maybe wasn't fun every day and maybe was stressful a lot of times. Because I got news for you, that's life. Not everything's carefree. The longer you try to run from stress, the more stress builds up, the more it'll find you. Whereas if you're able to attack, I hope you can hear me over this wind. But that would be so silly if I was just filming this impassioned like speech to the camera and it's just too windy out. But God, where was I going? I don't even know where I was going with it. But dedicating yourself to something. Oh yeah, if you run from stress, if you make it your life's goal to avoid stress and live in comfort, you are so fucking cooked when the check comes. I mean, that's just the truth of it. That's the thing that you have to attack every single day. These things that are stressing you out, these things you want to put off, attacking those, dedicating yourself to the process of getting good at saying, I don't care, because this feeling of negativity is temporary, but I have the opportunity to, you know, to build this into something positive over time if I just continue showing up. That's where the juice is at. We need the juice, baby.